Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. I'm here to ask and answer one simple question. WTF is Assassin's Creed Liberation HD? It came out on the PlayStation Vita in October of 2012, and now in 2014, it creeps along after Assassin's Creed 4 came out, which probably ranks among some of the silliest release decisions I've ever seen. Regardless, it came out to... It wasn't exactly a claim. It was kind of a, it's alright sort of response. And at the time, PlayStation Vita had very few actual games for it, so I think perhaps it even got a fairer pass than it should have. Though to be honest with you, it was very console-like. It was actually a good example of a game that was brought to a handheld console and played just like the console version. In fact, it even used the same engine, obviously with slightly weaker assets. But it played like one, you know, it wasn't one of the 2D games or any of the strange conversions to, say, the DS, or if you remember back in the day, I think it was the Game Boy Color originally started doing conversions, and they took stuff like Turok and turned it into a 2D side-scroller, which, funnily enough, worked out pretty well. But these are now the days where that does not happen. But along comes Liberation HD, which promises a little bit extra content-wise, and also shinier graphics, so let's go and have a look at it. Full mouse control in the menus, which is nice, so there's nothing to complain about there. Head to options here, and then we'll jump right into the game for you. Check out graphics originally. So this looks quite similar to the options menu for Assassin's Creed 4, for the most part. It doesn't have as many. And it's still got the annoying problem that Assassin's Creed 4's got, in the sense that you can't select 120Hz for the higher resolutions. I don't know why that is. You'll notice that if you go down to 1440 by 900, it'll actually allow you to play in 120Hz, but it won't let you do that at anything higher than that. So that's pretty stupid. I'm not sure what's going on with that. Environmental quality has 4 different presets. I've got it in very high. Texture quality has 3, so that's low, medium, and high. AA actually goes up to very high, but I noticed that it actually causes the game to run at sub 60 frames per second. I'm not sure why that is. I assume that either they've used a very inefficient form of AA, or they just haven't optimized correctly. So I tried that on one Titan, didn't go up to 2, mostly because I was streaming at the time, and that has a tendency to break XSplit. SLI does not play ball well with that program. So I put it down to normal, and it ran absolutely fine. It stays at 60 the entire time. And then you've got shadow quality, which I kept on very high, and you got your VSync on or off. Thankfully, they don't have the same bug that Assassin's Creed 4 did when it came out, which actually locked the game to 30 if you selected VSync. That is not in this version, thank God. So, graphics options, they're reasonable. They're not perhaps as detailed as I would like. It's especially strange considering the game promises the inclusion of advanced effects like HDR, and yet there's no option to turn that on or off, which is a little bit weird. So it's odd that you would advertise stuff like that and then not actually let you play around with it. I don't understand. Controls-wise, you can actually rebind the keys, but only if you deselect the 360 controller. I'm using the 360 controller for this. Those wondering how it controls with the keyboard and mouse, pretty much the same as every other Assassin's Creed game on PC, as in you can play it, but you're probably better off with a controller, just because the parkour stuff and the stealth... What? Sorry, I'm pretending that an Assassin's Creed game has stealth sections. The walk a little bit slower than usual to avoid detection sections are better done with an analog stick. Should turn that off. We do not need vibration, thank you very much. X and Y look sensitivity is available, as well as inversion, which is nice too. Aside from that, you can also mess around with the HUD, although it doesn't actually tell you what any of these things do, so I'm not sure why I would. Will turning off the weapons wheel give me any advantage? I don't even know what AFS updates actually are. What is SSI? It doesn't tell you any of that, so there's no tooltips here. So what is a puppeteer? I mean, I don't know what that is. So, yeah, I've just ignored all of that as a direct result of having no idea what any of it does. And then you've got, under General, your SFX voice and music volume with 10 different presets, and also blood on or off, with subtitles on or off as well. So that's nice. You can also put it in 5 different spoken languages and also have, I believe, a separate... I think you can have a separate subtitle option. I think you can. Actually, I don't know about that. Maybe not. But I know you can do that, but you've got to go back to the main menu in order to switch over the voices. But there's 5 different languages available. So, yeah, that's the options menu for it. Pretty much what you would expect from an Assassin's Creed game on PC. It's slightly weaker than AC4's options, as far as I can tell. A few less options there, but it's okay. It does the job. There's nothing that I would point to as being really annoying and blatantly missing from this menu. So, let's jump into the game. So, Assassin's Creed Liberation... I almost said Assassin's Creed 4 there. Assassin's Creed Liberation does not, in fact, have a multiplayer mode of any description. So you're just going to be playing the single-player campaign. Now, UI-wise, you'll notice this is very similar to almost every Assassin's Creed game on the sodding planet, but there are a couple of differences. Now, we're going to bribe these guards here, and then make our way onto the ship. Press B to bribe. Here you go. There's some money.
New shoes for my boy.
Wonderful. Okay, so I was able to do that, and now I'm going to have to charm Captain Dominguez. Now, you may notice that I am wandering around in very distinct non-assassin-like clothes, which is actually kind of nice for once, because I'm a little bit sick of running around in very conspicuous assassin's gear and having nobody notice. Now, this game actually has, shockingly enough, a system called personas, whereby you are able to don a different costume and it will have different effects. Now, if you pick the lady outfit, you are able to charm some guards and soldiers, which will have them follow you, and also it's a good way of bypassing various obstacles. It's used in the story as well. You can still fight, although not quite as well as in the assassin's outfit, and you gain notoriety much slower. However, there is a disadvantage. That, of course, being the fact that you cannot do parkour and dance around the place.
Would you be so kind as to
So you won't be able to climb, you won't really be able to do much. This is mostly the trying to be inconspicuous sort of outfit. And then there's a slave outfit, which has certain other effects. It's a little bit more... It's a bit more conspicuous than the lady outfit, but it lets you climb and it lets you do most of the parkour stuff, but it does limit your health, and it also happens to limit your weapons loadout. And then there's the full-on assassin's outfit, which gains notoriety very quickly and usually attracts the attention of the guards. So those are the things that you can switch between. It's a fairly interesting system, actually, and I'm quite surprised that it hasn't been used in previous games. It is quite nice, I've got to say. However, it seems woefully underused. I think the potential of it is squandered by the fact that it seems like the development team of Assassin's Creed is completely and totally unwilling to take a risk of any description. So, you are able to fight quite well here. In fact, I would actually love to demonstrate that by finding a guard and stabbing the living crap out of him. So, when you start the game, it tries to tell you, oh, if you're in a lady outfit or an assassin's outfit, you're not really going to be able to fight very well. You can actually fight just fine, because the counter system and the assassination system is bloody identical. So, there we go, that's one down. I love the fact all of these other guards seem to completely ignore the fact that there's a dead guy right there, but hey. These are not, in fact, guards, but I can steal from them, if I so desire. Oh, there we go. Looks like he might have figured it out. I'm gonna let him raise the alarm so that I can get into a big fight. At least that's the plan at any rate.
What happened?
No, he's not raising the alarm. Alright, I'll just kill him in front of other people then. Okay, that's not doing anything either. I assume these guys are civilians. Okay, never mind. Oh, there we go. They're not civilians. Okay, cool. So, welcome to Assassin's Creed's combat system for the 15th sodding time. Even as the lady, you are entirely capable of wonderful feats of agility and infinite countering everything. What you are not capable of is using some of the more complex weapons and chain killing. But that actually doesn't make a blind bit of difference, because the wrist blades are absolutely fine, and the counter system is, as long as you don't screw up your rhythm, completely and totally unbeatable. So that doesn't really matter so much. You, of course, also have the disarm system, if you so desire. If you want to use a weapon that isn't the wrist blades, you can disarm. And let's see if I can... Can I grab this? What the hell's going on here? This is getting a little bit weird. Alright, I'm just going to murder all of them then, whatever. That's fine. There you go. So, as you can see, I've killed about 10 people. Screwed up a little bit with him, but I'll be able to finish him off quite easily since he's now down on the ground. And everyone in this game fights like an absolute weenie, so never mind. Does that remind you of anything? Of course it does, because every Assassin's Creed game does the same bloody thing over and over again when it comes to its combat system, and frankly, it is getting horribly dull. Now, I think there was a really nice opportunity here What? Well, where'd he go? There's a really nice opportunity to actually use this persona system and say, no, actually, you can't fight in a dress and a bodice and a corset. You can't be super agile. Instead, all they said was, you know what? You can't climb. Like, all right then. Okay. Well, that just makes things slightly more inconvenient. But never mind. Now, they did bring back the notoriety system, and what they actually did with notoriety this time around is they decided to have separate notorieties for each outfit and persona. So, some of them rise faster than others. I can actually horribly murder a bunch of guards as the lady, and most people won't suspect me of doing that, so my notoriety actually goes up a lot slower. But I can still take bullets, so it's worth noting that. The good old human shield system from Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4 is back as well, so there's that. There we go. And you can use that to avoid every bullet in the game, so you don't need to worry too much about that. But even then, if you have to take a good set of volleys of bullets to actually really go down at any point. Now, here's the most ridiculous thing about notoriety. So, in this game, each of the different personas has a different way of reducing notoriety. You could also reduce notoriety for others. One of them is killing eyewitnesses. Okay? So, we're gonna do that. So, these are the eyewitnesses guards here. So, you know, we're gonna horribly murder them. So, that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Okay, so that's that done. And we're gonna chase the eyewitness. Now, just like to point out, by the way, that a good 40 or 50 people have actually seen me fighting here. Looks like we lost the eyewitness. So, a bunch of people saw me fighting. We are actually, there we go, level 3 right now, so our notoriety is pretty high, but it's okay, because I have the counter system. Nothing to really worry about. So, I shouldn't actually take any damage unless I'm not paying attention properly. Now, you'll see here, kill witnesses to lower the persona's notoriety. Okay. Sounds reasonable, doesn't it? Well, I'm at 4 notoriety here. Bunch of people have seen me murder. I'm gonna kill this witness. And lower my notoriety. In front of 20 innocent civilians! Do you not see how ridiculous a system that is? Who thought this was a good idea? Yeah, okay, you killed the eyewitness. You know, you made 40 more eyewitnesses in the process, but it doesn't matter, because you killed this one specific NPC eyewitness. Because apparently, only certain people can be eyewitnesses. She's like, are you kidding me? It's just, it's such a waste of potential. It's ridiculous. I mean, come on, I've killed like 40, 50 people now. Ugh. Now, just to make matters even easier, by the way, because Assassin's Creed games are clearly not easy enough already, you can actually go as far... You know, I should actually keep this. This thing's murdering everybody. Maybe I can grab a sword from here. I think there was one that dropped. Nope, actually there... Oh, there's a sword. Okay, I'll take that. That should do the job. Pick up weapon. No, it grabbed the wrong one. Alright, swap weapon. Excellent. I should grab this sword. That should do the trick. Excellent. To make matters even easier, you can change between your 3 personas as long as you can find your way to one of the sort of safe house areas which allow you to swap your personas out. And those personas have their own notoriety levels. So if my lady is super notorious, I can actually switch out. And I think it's actually currently locked at the moment. I can actually switch out. And shockingly enough, that will enable me to reset my notoriety. And then just run around as somebody else. Because apparently, if you dress up as a slave, then you clearly cannot be discovered. It's hilarious. My notoriety went down, and I just stabbed a guy in front of an entire crowd of people. It's ridiculous. Oh my god. It's just ludicrous. Very silly idea. They also recycled the magistrates and the wanted posters from Assassin's Creed 2 and the other games as well. So you can rip down wanted posters, which will reduce the... I think it's just the slaves' notoriety is reduced by that. It's interesting that they split things up between them, but honestly, the system is just painfully contrived and incredibly gamey. Assassin's Creed has suffered from that a lot, and it's managed to explain away a lot of it, but this is actually ludicrous. Really, really silly. It's okay, if I murder this other eyewitness, my notoriety level should end up going down to... Oh, good, it's now level 2. Alright, so if I keep running around and killing eyewitnesses, I will actually be able to become less notorious. Come on! Okay, right, I've railed on how dumb this system is enough. Aside from that, aside from this persona system, the game plays exactly like previous Assassin's Creeds. And therein lies the problem, because we were already getting bored of that. when Liberation came along, you can sort of let them get away with it. And the reason you can let them get away with it is because that game was actually on handheld, which helps. That helps a lot. That's good. The fact that it was on handheld meant that you could say, well, you know, it's kind of sucks that this isn't quite as good as a normal Assassin's Creed game, but it was on handheld and it's an exclusive, so it kind of makes sense, right? But on PC, where all the Assassin's Creed games are, that's not really the case at all. Not to mention the fact that Assassin's Creed 4 only came out, what, a couple of months back? And was significantly better. And it was the best Assassin's Creed game in a long time, ever since 2, in my opinion. It was well put together. It absolutely did the job. And it tried to do a few things differently. It didn't go the whole hog, and I still think the stabby bits were way, way weaker than the actual piracy. But at least it had the piracy. This game doesn't have anything going for it in that respect. It is just your bog standard, run-of-the-mill, by-the-numbers Assassin's Creed game, but designed for a handheld, so inherently way, way more limited. I mean, you even have the same skills. You have even the same whistle sound from Assassin's Creed 4. They reuse the assets heavily. And what's actually quite annoying about the reuse of assets is that the game doesn't actually look that great. It does not look as good as Assassin's Creed 4. It does look a little better than something like Assassin's Creed 2, but it really lacks, I would say, in terms of its graphical fidelity. It looks okay, but things like the shadow quality, the facial animation, even the cutscenes just don't look as good as Assassin's Creed 4. It feels less premium. The texture quality is particularly weak, and I think it doesn't really help that we're just in a boring area. I mean, as you can see here, the wood textures are not that great. They actually look about as bad as the textures in AC2. And that's kind of to be expected, really, because this was ported from the PlayStation Vita. I doubt they redid all of the textures. And it shows, unfortunately. It's like, well, this came out after Assassin's Creed 4, but looks worse. So what really, I suppose, is the justification for actually playing a game like this, or even releasing it in the first place? And that's the biggest problem I've got with it. The game has no relevance. None whatsoever. Assassin's Creed 3 was one of the worst in the series, as far as most people are concerned. And this game doesn't really help that. It was a spin-off of one of the worst in the series, and I don't know whether or not it's actually worse than Assassin's Creed 3. I guess maybe it's a little bit more focused because it's a smaller game, but even then, why on earth would you buy this now? Well, it would appear that the only reason you would buy it now is that this game is $20, and that helps. That helps a little bit. Unfortunately, I am a bastard, wow. Unfortunately, I don't think that's really enough to justify it. Because you're going to get a subpar Assassin's Creed experience. Unless you played all the other AC games and you're absolutely desperate to play Liberation, then I don't really see the point in it. It's also a little bit of a shame, because, honestly, Evelyn is a very interesting character, and I'm gonna sound a little bit weird here, but we don't actually have that many black female lead characters in games, and recently, every single time they've had one, the game's been boring. You remember? Well, you probably don't remember Me, because it was rather forgettable. Ah, cool, black female character. Also a French game, by the way, funnily enough, so there's some rather interesting parallels between the two. Dull as dishwater game. It's like, well, that sucks. And then we get Assassin's Creed Liberation, same problem. Like, come on! Please, you know, we want... Can we just have an interesting female character for once as a lead in one of these games? Can we not screw the game up so there's just a lesser version of the male? I'm not the kind of person that really obsesses over story. In fact, I'm very much mechanics first, story second. I feel that story helps accentuate a game that already has really great in-depth mechanics, and story cannot save a game that has poor mechanics. That's my opinion. Yeah? Some people will disagree. But the fact of the matter is that this game right here, poor mechanics, very much rehashed, very much so. And as a result, it ends up being just irrelevant and dull. I think that some people will certainly enjoy the fact that it's another Assassin's Creed game, and they might enjoy the setting, and they may enjoy the story. That'll be good. Oh, perhaps they would enjoy that stuff. But to me, this is both easy and dull. I mean, why are they letting me do that to them? God! These are the worst guards in history. Jeez. It's like, from the front, they allow me to knock them unconscious. Ugh. Just awful. My camera spazzed out there for some reason as well. I can't really explain that. Not sure why that happened. Why is it zoomed in all of a sudden? There we go. Yeah, it doesn't have much going for it, I'm afraid. The port's decent. It obviously looks better than the Vita, but it doesn't look anywhere near as good as Assassin's Creed 4. I mean, God, look at the water in comparison to Assassin's Creed 4's water. It's not even close. Texture quality, everything in general, even the voice acting. In Assassin's Creed 4, I actually really enjoyed the voice acting. And I know I'm a guy that says mechanics first, story second, but I felt the mechanics of that game were a lot stronger than previous Assassin's Creed titles. So that kind of makes sense. Why are you letting me do that? Oh, that's hilarious. Oh. But even then, the storyline really helped it out a lot. They did the pirate voice acting incredibly well. It was well written, really well written. And this game has just a lot of really bad French accents for the most part, which is really unfortunate. Oh my, it's a shame. Yeah, so my conclusion on Assassin's Creed Liberation HD right now is that it's a giant pile of more of the same. And if it had come out before Assassin's Creed 4, as kind of a nice little tidbit, I suppose, I think I would have accepted it a little bit better. But as it stands, I don't see a single good reason to actually play it unless you are really entranced by the notion of Avelin's character and the actual setting itself. And it's kind of a shame because I think the setting could have been done really well. It's set, I believe, in Louisiana. There's a lot of racist overtones, obviously. It's in the time of slavery, so that's a big factor there. And it could very well hit on some pretty cool concepts and talk about some stuff that's pretty gritty and hard-hitting. But so far, there's a little bit too much of the assassin nonsense for that to really be there. And it's also hard to feel particularly endangered and oppressed or whatever, because you can horribly murder everybody still. Ugh. So there it is. It's a lower quality Assassin's Creed game. It's a bit of a waste. It's not relevant anymore. The only reason they ported it, one assumes, is because they didn't sell all that many copies on Vita. They wanted to make a little bit extra money on consoles, and I can definitely understand that. And it's kind of cool that it got ported, but really, it wasn't that great a game in the first place, so you don't really benefit from it having been ported, I'm afraid. Now, if you don't mind, I'm going to chase this guy through a crowd of people and use that to lower my notoriety somehow. Game logic, what? Ugh. That's a shame. Oh well, never mind. Assassin's Creed games are hopefully getting back on the right road with Assassin's Creed 4. Hopefully they can continue going in that general direction rather than taking it further in this direction. I think this'll certainly be the last time we see this era. Assassin's Creed 3 was not that interesting. Ugh. I'm so over Assassin's Creed. Can you tell? Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So unless you're desperate, I wouldn't bother. It's not really worth your time, I'm afraid. My name's been TotalBiscuit, taking a look at Assassin's Creed Liberation HD. I'll see you next time.